Come to order. We'll be led in prayer by President Pro Tem Joe DeLucia.
Almighty God, we ask for your blessing upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that our decisions are for the common good and that your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings and keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of your community. Amen.
Alderman Nystrom, please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Much. We do have to do suspension of rules. We have to add to communications that came from CCP. So can I have a motion on suspension of rules? Okay, moved by Alderman Nystrom. Can I have a second? Second, please. Alderwoman Sheila Hayes.
Alderman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Kanabaya?
Yes.
Alderwoman Zucardi?
Yes.
Alderman Nystrom?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Singh?
Motion passes 6-0. I also want to mention that Alderman Nash couldn't join us today due to his family obligation.
First petition and communication is a referral letter from Commission on City Plan. Dated December 17th, 2025, the Honorable Mayor and Alderpersons of the Council of the City of Norwich, an ordinance amending Appendix A zoning chapters 1 through 9 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Norwich concerning regulating and restricting the use and the land use and location of buildings and structures, regulating and restricting the height and bulk of buildings and structures, and determining the area of yards, courts, and other places surrounding them, regulating and restricting the density of population, dividing the city of Norwich for such purposes, adopting maps of said city showing the boundaries and the classification of such districts, and prescribing penalties for the violation of its provisions. At the December 16th hybrid regular meeting, the Commission on City Plan reviewed and discussed the above referenced referral. Seated were Frank Manfredi, Dean Nason, Kathy Wazika, Nicholas Fortson, and Jason Bugby. After careful consideration, Kathy Wazika made a motion to forward a favorable recommendation to the City Council as the proposed zoning regulations are consistent with the City of Norwich Plan of Conservation and Development. The Commission on the City Plan commends the Planning and Neighborhood Services staff on the preparation of the proposed zoning regulations. The motion was seconded by Dean Nason. In favor, Frank Manfredi, Dean Nason, Kathy Wazika, Nicholas Fortson, and Jason Bugby. Against, none. Abstained, none. Sincerely, Frank Manfredi.
Very much. Can I ask for the motion to this be received? So moved. Motion by Alderman Nystrom, seconded by Alderwoman Sheila Hayes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Kanabaya?
Yes.
Alderwoman Zucardi?
Yes.
Alderman Nystrom?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Singh?
6-0. Thank you.
Petition and communication number 2, December 17th, 2025. The Honorable Mayor and Alderpersons of the Council of the City of Norwich in an ordinance amending the zoning map of the City of Norwich, accompanying the zoning ordinance of the City of Norwich by changing the zoning designation of tracts or parcels of land within the City of Norwich. At the December 16th, 2025 hybrid regular meeting, the Commission on City Plan reviewed the discussed and referenced referral. Seated were Frank Manfredi, Dean Nason, Kathy Wazika, Nicholas Fortson, and Jason Bugby. After careful consideration, Nicholas Fortson made a motion to forward a favorable recommendation to the City Council as the proposed zoning map is consistent with the City of Norwich Plan of Conservation and Development. The Commission on City Plan commends the Planning and Neighborhood Services staff on the preparation of the proposed map. The motion was seconded by Dean Nason. In favor, Frank Manfredi, Dean Nason, Kathy Wazika, Nicholas Fortson, Jason Bugby. Against, none, abstain, none. Frank Manfredi, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Can I have a motion to this be received?
So moved.
By Alderman Nystrom, seconded by Alderwoman Sheila Hayes. Any discussions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderwoman Hayes.
Yes.
Alderman Kanambaya.
Yes.
Alderwoman Zucardi.
Yes.
Alderman Nystrom.
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia.
Yes?
Mayor Singh.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Public hearing. Number 1, an ordinance amending Appendix A zoning chapters 1 through 9 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Norwich concerning regulating and restricting the use of land and the use and location of buildings and structures, regulating and restricting the height and bulk of buildings and structures, and determining the area of yards, courts, and other places surrounding them, regulating and restricting the density of population, dividing the city of Norwich for such purposes, adopting maps of said city showing the boundaries and the classification of such districts, and prescribing penalties for the violation of its provisions.
Thank you very much. So at this time, I do declare public hearing to be open. And I would like to remind that council will be acting as zoning authority. So public hearing format is a little different. We will be inviting Deanna Rhodes to come give the presentation. And after that, anybody from the public who have comments can come forward, give their comments, and we'll try to address your comments right away through the staff. So thank you very much.
Good evening, council. Good evening, mayor. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk to you tonight about the proposed zoning regulations and zoning map. This project has been about 2 years in the making. The city adopted its plan of conservation and development in August 2023, and very quickly after, we jumped in and started working on the zoning regulations to incorporate all those visionary ideas and goals that are in the plan of conservation and development. So I'm going to just give you some background of how we'd like tonight to go. As the zoning authority, the council is acting in a little bit different capacity. So what we'll do is, the public hearing is currently open. I'd like the staff to do their presentation for you. Then what will happen is we'll allow you to ask us questions. Then we'd like it to be open to the floor. It's probably easier to see if people are in favor to speak first. Have them speak, give their names, make their comments on the record, and if they have questions, the questions can be directed towards the council, but we will come and answer those questions so that they're addressed on the spot if there's any specific questions. And then the same thing for anyone who wants to speak in opposition. We want the same opportunity to do that. And then before you close the public hearing, we would like another opportunity just to talk about how our plan, the zoning regulations will be consistent with the plan of conservation and development. Since we have the zoning regulations and the map, and they're really integrated, this is 2 separate public hearings, but what we're going to do is do the presentation, and when we get to the portion of the map, Dan will show the map and talk very briefly about it, and then we'll hold on to speaking about the map at the next public hearing. So comments from the public, if they're really related to the map specifically, they should probably be on the second public hearing and not on this one. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for me? Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Dan at this point, and so he's going to go through a presentation for you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So I'm going to run through quickly here. We're going to talk about project goals, the updated outline, a lot of the major revisions that we made, and then some new additions. The goals really came out of the development of the POCD a few years ago. It was to create user-friendly regulations, not only for people that are looking to develop in the city of Norwich, but also for the staff, so we can help people in a more efficient and more down-to-earth language manner. Predictable organization, we reduced the regulations from 9 chapters to 7, so we streamlined a lot of things. to eliminate conflicts and inconsistencies with state updates that happened since they were last drafted in 2015, to make sure we were compliant with statutory requirements, and again, to advance the goals of the POCD. This is a brief outline of the chapters. I'll go through each one really, starting at chapter 2. The introduction is more the legal reason for zoning, why it exists and whatnot. We'll jump right into the definitions in chapter 2.2. We updated our definitions to have modern language related to signage and lighting, made sure that we were aligned with the state. There was updates to childcare facilities and cannabis regulations, and we added an extensive list of new terms and definitions to ensure that whatever was defined in the regs or mentioned in the regs had a definition or something that was similar enough that the zoning enforcement officer had something to base new development on. If something occurs in the next 10 years or so, we have things that he can work with in guide rails. Moving to chapter 3, we eliminated a number of overlay districts that were never fully adopted the last time the zoning regs were adopted. That was the business master plan district. We removed that, the incentive housing overlay district, the neighborhood redevelopment district, the adaptive reuse overlay district, and the agriculture or business overlay district. They were included on, some were included in the regulations, some were included on the map, but they weren't fully adopted in both in a lot of cases, so they got pulled out this time. They were never used. A few districts were renamed. We renamed planned commercial to regional commercial because it was confusing with the planned development district. So that's just some clarity for people that are referencing the regulations. And then recreation open space was changed to the government facility district. And you'll be able to see that more when we bring the map up. We have 2 new residential districts, the R15 and R10. They're in chapter 3.1. This is really to right-size existing neighborhoods in the city that are old and are built on smaller lots. People had to come before the Zoning Board of Appeals to get a lot of variances to do things that their neighbors down the street could do by right because their lot met size requirements. We also added a new commercial district, the Norwich State Hospital District. The city received a $250,000 planning grant from the CIF State Fund. Will be going out over the course of this year, and part of that will come back to the council, to the zoning authority, to update the regulations. This is just in here as a placeholder until we complete that study. Let's see. The other new district, as mentioned before, is the Government Facilities District. This is all municipal, state, and federally owned property. So think of the school properties, Mohegan Park, an MPU facility, the transfer station, things along that line. That's a great first step for staff to be able to create further maps based off of the zoning map that will allow us to provide you with information, how many parks are in the city, what's their acreage, what's surplus land. This does not include house lots the city receives for failure to pay taxes or through foreclosure, because the goal is to put those back on the market. And moving forward, we would come back as planning staff on a yearly basis if the city receives land or decides to incorporate, say someone donates land to Mohegan Park, that would be incorporated on a yearly basis, not, as it happens. We also have a new overlay district, the medical mixed use district, that is in the area around Bacchus Hospital. It is an overlay. It doesn't affect the zone underneath, so everything that's there is fine now, but it allows for development bonuses. Think of people living in buildings where there's clinics and offices on the first floor, so older residents in the city can age in place and be proximate to the hospital and medical services. Another big change in the zoning regs is we have a consolidated use table now. You'll find that in chapter 4. It's 4 pages, so it lists all of the uses that are allowed in certain zones, the regulatory approval path, be it a zoning permit, if it's allowed by right, if it's a special permit or a site development plan, And then at the end of the table, it shows you the section in the regs that you can refer to for further information and guidance. Now I'll jump to chapter 4. That's uses and use standards. We have a lot of new additions related to agricultural and farming and keeping of animals. The zoning enforcement officer gets a lot of calls on a daily and weekly basis related to, can I have chickens on my property? How many can I have? Our old regs allowed for 4 chickens, but you can't buy 4 chickens in the state. You have to buy 6, so you are immediately non-compliant. So there's a lot of housekeeping updates there, making it easier for residents to have their questions answered, making it a lot easier for the zoning enforcement officer to do his job on a day-to-day basis. In chapter 4.6, we combined alcohol and cannabis uses in the same area, so it's easier to reference and it's more streamlined for people to be able to see what applies and the guidelines for that. We have a new section on donation drop-off boxes. This is one of the ways we're trying to combat blight in the city through the zoning regulations. Moving forward, if these zoning regs are adopted, they'll only be allowed as an accessory use to a legally conforming house of worship. We also have new and updated mixed-use and commercial residential sections in chapter 4.15 and 4.16C. We have typically, or currently, we only allow residential on upper floors in the Chelsea Central District. We're going to allow for ADA accessible units on the first floor, and as long as a viable commercial storefront is maintained along the street wall and the streetscape. And in the current zoning regs, we don't allow without a variance for residential to exceed commercial in a building, and we've removed that requirement. So now you can have commercial on the first floor, storefront, apartments in the back, and all apartments upstairs to allow for more creative reuse. Chapter 5 is special development types. One thing we wanted to point out to you tonight is adaptive reuse of historic structures. So if you think of homes that are up the hill along Broadway, this is to encourage the restoration and preservation of the homes, and we would allow for a very limited use within them via special permit. So it would be controlled by the Commission on the City Plan to have, I believe it's 11 different uses that could be in there, as long as it remains a home, all of the landscaping and parking requirements are met, and it really allows the large homes that are very difficult for a single family to maintain to be creatively reused. Chapter 6 jumps to development standards. We talk about accessory structures if you think of fences and garages, swimming pools, sheds, etc. We also have new sections in here dealing with earth alterations, soil erosion and sediment control, and stormwater management. I worked extensively with the city engineer to develop these sections, and he went through and reviewed them, and they meet his requirements through state stormwater regulations, and now we're ensuring that if someone comes in and wants to do earth alterations, they have specific guidelines they have to follow. They have to file a plan, and it will be monitored. Also in Chapter 6, we have new regulations dealing with landscaping, planting, screening, front and side landscaping areas, street trees, parking lot landscaping, and then buffering, which is when a commercial or industrial lot or zone abuts a residential zone, or a special permit use in a residential zone. And this is really to protect neighbors from uses that are allowed in the zone, but we want to make sure that they're screened from the people that live in the zone. And there's design standards and there's flexible pathways for developers to follow when they're doing that. So we've created more options that are easier for people to adapt to their project. Also in this section, we have trash and recycling locations and the screening of those areas. This is another way we're trying to combat blight in the city. We are providing flexible yet clear guidelines where trash and recycling can be located, how it has to be screened, and it does not apply to single, 2, 3, and 4 unit dwellings. It's multifamilies, 5 unit and above, and commercial and industrial properties. We also greatly expanded the off-street parking chapter. We added minimum and maximum required parking. So parking is right-sized for development. You don't have extensive parking lots that will never be filled or asphalt that is not working for the city in terms of stormwater requirements. We have a new section on bicycle parking for people that live at a building or may be patrons of a business. We right-sized our parking standards to 9 feet by 18 feet from 10 by 20. And let's see, also a lot of parking lot landscaping guidelines and regulations, and then we added residential off-street parking and driveway standards because there's an issue in parts of the city where people are trying to extensively pave their yards for parking. We have an updated section on outdoor lighting that we wanted to be dark sky compliant to make the light as the least amount of invasiveness and trying to balance the harmony of nature and development. And we also have a greatly expanded section on signage in the city that tells you what types of signs are allowed in a residential or commercial or industrial zone, how big it can be, where it can be located, and the number of signs on a property, and what standards apply to each. And lastly, we have a new proposal to reduce blight in vacant storefronts downtown here. We are asking to have a decorative window display that depicts a cultural, educational, or historical or municipal related theme on windows that face the street while buildings are vacant and waiting to be redeveloped. And then the last chapter, chapter 7, is kind of the back of the house. It is all of your reviewing agencies, including yourselves as the zoning commission, the different types of applications and the approval path that they follow, the submittal requirements, sequence of hearings, and then post-approval requirements. And then we have checklists at the end for people who are applying to make sure that they've checked every box and what they need to submit. I would also note that we've greatly reduced the paper requirements. At times, depending on the application type, we currently require 15 full-size sets of plans. We've reduced that down to 4. And we're trying to do as much online as we can, but we're still required to keep hard copies for legal purposes. That's all I have on the regulations now. As Deanna mentioned, I'm going to bring up the map and go through some changes on there, and then we're going to answer questions regarding the regs first before you switch over to the map. So as you can see on the map, probably the biggest visual change you'll see is that government zone. That is, as I mentioned before, the large blob in the center of the screen is Mohegan Park and the Senior Center and Kelly Middle School. So that is all the city-owned, municipal, or federal or state properties. I talked earlier about the R10 and the R15 zones. You'll see those in the vicinity of NFA and over on the west side here. That's really to help residents in those neighborhoods not have to get so many variances, and it's right size for the time that was developed. The medical mixed use overlay is here around Bacchus Hospital. As I mentioned before, it doesn't change the zone underneath. It just allows for more flexible development types to occur with some parcel assemblage and medical related uses. The circles that you see on the map we included because they're mentioned in the regs and they're also in the POCD. They're the focus nodes, so they just need to be included as part of the map because they're referenced in the zoning document. The green outline that you see along the riverways is the visual representation of the Greenway Overlay District that's in the regs. Think of the Heritage Walkway. So anything that could happen in the future, that's depicted here on the map as well, just because it's mentioned in the regs. And then I think you can see this PDD down here will become the Norwich State Hospital District once that planning study is done. We're anticipating hopefully by the end of this year. And then the other big change is this used to be planned commercial, and we just changed the name to regional commercial to eliminate any confusion with the PDD here. And I think with that, I'll pass it back to Deanna.
So I just wanted to put on the record that when we do zoning and map changes, we do have statutory referrals that have to go out, and we did meet those requirements and sent out the referrals, and the clerk has the cards back from the different companies, the different agencies we sent to. So we had to send out to the Regional Planning Agency, to the communities that abut the city of Norwich, the water companies, which is MPU and Sunny Waters, because they manage a water company for mobile home park. Let me see, what else? DEP for the coastal area management. And let me see, and DEP, we sent them as well for the comments for the special flood hazard area regulations. And that is it. Those are the requirements. We sent them all out. We received all the cards back except for one, and that was from Sunny Waters. And I think that is it to say. I will have something to read into the record, but I'll wait to till we have the comments from the public first. Again, if someone wants to come up and they say their name on the record and they say their comments, if there's a question, we will answer it. If someone has a comment and they concur with another person, just for time's sake and for the clerk keeping the records, it'd be easier just to say I concur with the person that spoke before instead of repeating it. It just makes it easier for the record. But thank you. Anyone have any questions?
So if council member have any question, we should discuss that when we are in second read, or?
No, you can, I think you can ask us now. You can ask us if you have specific questions now. We'd like to answer those before the public, so then they can answer their question.
Okay, I guess anybody have any questions at this point? We will definitely have second opportunity when we are on the second read as well. Sure.
I thought of when there's changes in state law, how do we evolve? And I give the example of parking requirements under the new state housing law. They've changed for various uses. How are we going to accommodate for that within the?
So I'm going to have Dan talk about that, but I will say that the new laws that have just been passed recently about housing, we think we're pretty compatible with a lot of those requirements, but what's happening is the Council of Governments needs to review those laws, especially the housing requirements, and when we come back in either the summer or fall next year, when we do the Norwich State Hospital Zone, we will address all the housing, because at that point, that's when everybody will be ready to do it. So we're all in the state looking at how we're going to address the new laws that just passed with the housing legislation. But we are on a great path to address most of it in these regulations.
I don't think we need, Dan, you've answered it fine.
Okay.
Not that I don't appreciate it.
Did forget to mention that. I was just to add that Deanna and I are attending a session on that Thursday morning in Cromwell, that specific topic.
That's kind of why I asked it. Yeah, I wanted to.
Okay, so at this point, I would like to invite anyone who will like to come and speak in favor of this ordinance as proposed. Yes, please, come forward, give your name and address.
How you guys doing? My name is Razul Wallace. I've been a resident of Norwich for just about 20 years now. And one of the things that I wanted to say was I really like Norwich. Coming from New York, the pace is a lot.
Excuse me 1 second. We're not running a 3-minute clock.
No, we're not.
So I saw the little green light light up, but.
I thought it was 3 minutes for the first round.
So we can do two ways. Usually, I would like to give opportunity to everyone to speak whatever they want to speak in regards to zoning regulations. But in first round, it will be favorable if we can keep our remarks to 3 minutes, and that way we hear from everyone. If you have more to say, then you're most welcome to come again.
Okay.
Just for your information. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's a cool small town in Connecticut. But one thing that always baffled me was how slow the economic development was here. I felt like it's primed to be a desirable place. I mean, that's my perspective as someone coming from Brooklyn, New York. And it seems that these ordinances are more in consideration of those who are trying to be productive economically here in Norwich. So I just wanted to say that it was exciting for me to see because it has been frustrating to deal with in the past. I own a number of properties in town. I live in town. And like I said, I like Norwich, but it's kind of a sigh of relief to see that there's some relief that will allow you to kind of operate and develop to some degree here in Norwich. So
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Anybody else who would like to come and speak in favor of this ordinance as proposed?
Good evening. My name is Karen Staples. I live on Arnold Place. Initially, I came here because I was very concerned when I heard overlay. Some of you may remember the history with overlay years back. We have a traffic and congestion in that area. We also have a wonderful neighborhood. So I am so pleased with what I heard here tonight. I came with 3 initial concerns. One was where the overlay map was. I got that answered. 2 was, I have some driveway issues in our neighborhood. That was addressed. And the third thing I would like to caution everyone about is that with the signage, which was addressed, we are a residential neighborhood, and it is the #1 gateway in the city. It's the best-looking gateway to the city. And signage is so imperative to the first impressions of a city. And we lack that foresight in some areas. So I'd like to see us take some serious consideration. I don't have the privilege of knowing what that says, but we actually have a gas station there that has fluorescent lights that we all get to look at from in the distance all night long. And I do think if we were on the shoreline, you would see that there is a height variance, and many of those things are taken into consideration. I'd like to see Norwich Town back off of commercial signage and go to something a little more keeping with its historic significance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else who would like to speak in favor? Yes, please.
Beryl Fishbone, 19 Bliss Place. I'm much relieved because I read the signboards and they made me a little nervous, but I'm much relieved on a few points. One is that Mohegan Park will get a yearly review for land being donated or being available for purchase for one reason or another to expand the city's green spaces. And you all know that I'm much in favor of that, and I was a little concerned by that. I'm also thrilled to hear about the downtown and the fact that the buildings are going to be, building owners are going to be asked to make their buildings presentable to the public. That's wonderful. It's also a great opportunity for somebody who wanted to open up, say, a business on doing just the window dressings. That used to be a big deal. And then when everybody left town and all the malls came in, that kind of an opportunity left as well. So that's a wonderful business opportunity for somebody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else who would like to come? Yes, please.
Charlie Boughton, 11 Beechwood Boulevard. I didn't hear anything on the enforcement of all these regs. Somebody's out of compliance. I'm just curious on how they would be enforced. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Deanna Rhodes for the record. So the zoning enforcement officer, Richard Shook, is here, so he can answer that question if you don't mind.
Sure, thank you.
Good evening. So the enforcement proceedings and practices in the new regulations are the same as the previous regulations. We enforce based on the statutory authority and the process for enforcement, which means a notice of violation, possible cease and desist, and reference to the city attorney for civil action. The only other step past that, which at some point we can discuss, modifying the city citation ordinance to allow for citations for zoning violations. Currently, the statutes allow for it, but our ordinance doesn't include it.
Okay.
Any question?
Thank you. Anybody from public who would like to say? Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Oh, I just moved. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to comment on,
Name, please.
yes, Carleen Chambliss.
And you live in Norwich?
I do live in Norwich, 19 Jordan Drive.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to comment. And I do want to acknowledge all of the work that your staff and you have done, because it's no easy job to rewrite a whole zoning. Tonight, I just want to speak about housing, right, and why this moment is really important. Just this past Monday, I received a cold call from someone asking if I would consider selling my home because they liked the neighborhood that I live in and they were hoping to move into the area. But they simply could not find a home, a place to live in Norwich. And more than 2 weeks ago, I had a conversation with a partner in our school system who was dealing with a family who was looking for an accessible home because they had a child with physical need and their current rental was no longer appropriate for them to stay at. And they could not find any places to rent anywhere. Both the family as well as the advocate who was working on that, they were at their ends meet. And I've also had many conversations with seniors in our communities who are looking to downgrade, who are looking for more smaller homes to move in. And there's not a lot of homes for seniors who are 55 and over available in our community. And these conversations truly stay with me because it reflects what so many people are experiencing now. People want to live here but they can't because there's not enough housing options available. And the data backs this up. In Norwich, more than 40% of renters are cost burdened, and more than a quarter are spending over half of their income just to keep a roof over their heads. And we also have fewer affordable rental homes than households who need them, especially for people with lower incomes. And this is not a small problem. It affects seniors on fixed incomes, young adults who are just starting out, people with disabilities, and people trying to exit homelessness and rebuild their lives. And there are things in this draft zoning that deserve real credit. The new residential district that reflects smaller historic lot sizes will make infill housing more realistic. The housing growth zone and mixed-use district, I'm taking you, okay? Do you want me to stop?
That's fine if you have written remarks.
Yeah,
You can
I'm
continue.
almost done. Mixed-use district sends a strong signal that Norwich welcomes housing in appropriate places. And the focus on adaptive reuse, especially male buildings and underused properties, creates opportunity to add housing without expanding sprawl. But the zoning is not just about what is allowed, it is about what actually gets built. And I heard a question about enforcement earlier. And I just had 2 questions for the council tonight. I just want to ask about public engagement as part of this process, because these changes are very extensive and they're technical, and I'm not a zoning or planner expert. So I just wanted to ask how the broader public has been engaged in this new plan update. And tonight I heard 2 people say it was not until I got here that I had a true understanding about some of the new components that were part of this plan. I heard that from public comment, from 2 public comments tonight. So I just want to have a question in terms of how was the broader community informed about the substance of the zoning changes and help to inform it. And then just my last thought is just like, I just want to encourage the council to view the zoning update as a foundation and not the finish line. I had heard earlier that there are some components based upon the new state regulations that are not incorporated into this, that needs to be incorporated. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that gets added in, because Norwich has a documented need for housing at all income levels, as well as housing housing needs specifically for seniors. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the work that you've done, but I would like to hear a response in regards to the public
Sure.
engagement.
Thank you very much. Deanna or whoever wants to, Dan, you want to talk about it? How regulations are pro-housing, how they can lead to more affordability, and about the public engagements. I know there has been briefings done with council members on one-to-one basis as well. And this was also available online on our city website as well for people to take a look. But
Correct.
if you can
So-
shine more light, thank you.
In terms of the housing, we tried to be proactive and anticipate the state housing bill that came at the tail end of this. I feel that we met some of the things that they had before they released it, but obviously we'll go back once they release the final guidance on that. There's a lot of things in there that talk about being pro-housing, but there's not guidelines set up to reach that at this point, so we're waiting for further guidance and kind of a legal explanation before we come back to you to incorporate some of those things. We try to be proactive with that medical mixed use to allow people to age in place, so that would be one of the things that could occur on those upper floors, would be, you know, elderly housing, so people can get downstairs in the same building to a clinic or an appointment that they need. And in terms of the public outreach, this really started with the development of the POCD, where we had multiple, you know, public outreach meetings. We held things at Foundry 66. We had an online presence with the Envision website, the city's public outreach website. And then we met with stakeholders, again, as part of this process to kind of tie a knot in that bow with all the public outreach we received, really going back all the way to 2022 when we started the development of the POCD. So this update was to do some requirements that were just based on the time frame that had passed over the 10 years since the last zoning update, and then also to reflect some of that public outreach that had occurred over the past 3-4 years.
Thank you very much. Can you also speak on how these regulations are more favorable on creating more multifamily housing units? And with
Yes.
the incorporation of R10, R15 zone, we are inviting more small houses that can be built. I don't know if you have anything in regards to tiny houses in it, but that's upcoming thing too.
We don't have anything regarding tiny houses, but the previous comment kind of asked and answered that. We did rezone those areas where the lots are smaller, so that will allow for some infill where there would be non-conforming lots today. With the new regulations, they would be in conformity, so you'd be able to develop on those. And then in the multifamily zone specifically, we halved the square footage requirement per unit. So currently it's 1 per 5,000 square feet, and in the new regs, it's 1 per 2,500 square feet. So it technically could double the amount of units that you could potentially develop on a project.
Thank you. And anything about cluster housing?
We have a conservation residential subdivision that was in the existing regs, and we didn't really change that. It hasn't really occurred all that often in the city. I don't know if Deanna has anything to add about that. It just hasn't been something we've been really approached from the development community, but we do allow it.
Yeah, we
Thank
had one conservation subdivision in the last 10 years, and it has not been built out. It's not an area where there is sewers, so it's a subdivision that would have septic systems, and they're so clustered together, it got they're so cross easements to each other, and it doesn't work really well. On paper, it works, and it passes the health code, but it's so expensive to do it. That's why I don't think it's happening. But we do allow for that, which is, just so the public understands what a conservation subdivision is. It means that you are allowed to have smaller subdivision lots than you normally would, but you have a larger shared open space. So you basically cluster the houses together, and then you don't take all the land and separate it out. You keep it together as a community space, basically. It's creative, but it's not really done too often, especially in urban areas. As far as creating housing, I think I'm going to repeat some of the things that Dan said, but the downtown with allowing the upper floors all to be housing, when before you had to have no more than 50% of the building could be housing, no more than, you couldn't have more housing than commercial. So if you had a commercial building and only the first floor was commercial, you couldn't have more housing square footage without a variance. So now you could have the first floor and use a lot of that for housing and just have the front-facing portion that's facing the street to be commercial. You could have apartments on the first floor and all the upper floors. So that really allows for a lot more housing opportunities in the city. We also have apartments allowed everywhere. We got rid of what we had called garden-style apartments, which were very restrictive in the city, that had a certain design standard. They had to be facing only on open space or a road, and you couldn't have kind of like the townhouse style, you couldn't really do that anymore. So you couldn't have a driveway up to your front door because you had to have a green space in front. So what that did was it took away some other options for housing. So it kind of made all the designs sort of be similar, or you needed variances. It was just really restrictive. So we've opened that up to pretty much any design for apartments, so that they can be very creative in what they're doing. And of course, if you're in historic areas of local historic districts, there's standards and things, but otherwise, is so much more creativity for the apartments. So I think we've done a really good job with these regulations of really opening up housing opportunities in the city.
Definitely, it's a good start, but it's not ending. In 6 months, you can come back if you have more in-depth view of that House Bill, I think 8002.
Absolutely.
And that was a very big bill, you know.
Yep, absolutely. And that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else who would like to come forward and speak in favor of this ordinance? Please come forward and state your name.
I'm going to come back up since no one jumped up. We do have a letter from the Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments. I don't know if that was received in their packets, but I'm going to read it into the record. December 11th, 2025, to Deanna Rhodes, AICP, Director of Planning and Neighborhood Services, City of Norwich Planning and Neighborhood Services Department, 23 Union Street, Norwich, Connecticut, 06360. I am writing in response to a request for an intermunicipal referral for the City of Norwich. The application was received on December 10th, 2025. The application was referred to this agency pursuant to Section 8-3B of the Connecticut General Statutes. The proposed amendments seek to comprehensively amend the zoning map and zoning regulations of the City of Norwich. These changes are designed to align with the goals and implementation of the city's 10-year Plan of Conservation and Development, POCD, which was adopted in August 2023. Specifically, the proposed amendments are intended to improve the quality of life, standard of living, and economic vitality of Norwich, and further the general health, safety, and welfare of the City of Norwich. Based on a review of the material provided, I have determined that the proposed zoning regulation amendments are not likely to have a negative intermunicipal impact. If you have any questions, please contact me at tlussier@ccog.gov. Sincerely, Taylor Lussier, Planner 1, SECOG, which is CCOG, and then her email address.
Thank you. So anybody else who would like to come and speak in favor of these ordinance? Anybody else who would like to come and speak in favor of this ordinance? Last, anybody else who would like to come and speak in favor of this ordinance as presented? Okay, anybody else who would like to speak against this ordinance at this time? Anybody who would like to speak against this ordinance at this time? Anybody who would like to speak against this ordinance at this time? Hearing none, I declare this public hearing closed. Thank you.
Public hearing number 2, an ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of Norwich, accompanying the zoning ordinance of the city of Norwich by changing the zoning designation of tracts or parcels of land within the city of Norwich.
All right, thank you very much. So again, public hearing is open on ordinance number 2. At this time, anybody who would like to come and speak in favor of this ordinance, most welcome to come. It's talking about the map that, I don't know if you can see on your screens or not. You can? Okay. Which talks about technically all the text that is in ordinance number 1. Okay. Anybody who would like to come and speak in favor of this ordinance as presented? Third and last, anybody who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance as presented? Okay. Anybody who would like to speak against this ordinance as presented? Anybody who would like to speak against this ordinance as presented? Third and last, anybody who would like to come and speak against this ordinance as presented? Hearing none, I declare public hearing closed on this. Thank you.
Second reading and action on the above ordinance previously presented. Number 1, an ordinance amending Appendix A, zoning chapters 1 through 9 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Norwich concerning regulating and restricting the use of land and the use and location of buildings and structures, regulating and restricting the height and bulk of buildings and structures, determining the area of yards, courts, and other places surrounding them, regulating and restricting the density of population, dividing the city of Norwich for such purposes, adopting maps of said city showing the boundaries of the classification of such districts, and prescribing penalties for the violation of its provisions.
Thank you very much. So I would like to have a motion at this time to bring this
So
ordinance.
moved.
All right, motion moved by Alderman Nystrom, seconded by Alderwoman Sheila Hayes. Any discussion at this time?
I do. So in front of us, I'm asking if when the motion is adopted,
Yes.
makes
so-
the motion that this information has to be read at the
Yes,
time of the
so-
motion?
So there has been some corrections that needs to be made. So we will have to have a motion to amend this. And then we will vote on the ordinance after that. And I will actually like those amendments to be read in record as well. So if you like to make the motion to accept these with amendment as presented.
Well, I would ask through you, the mayor of the maker of the original motion would read for the record what's here as part of the motion.
Sorry?
If I may.
Yep.
Thank you very much for seconding that. At this time, I would move to amend the ordinance as presented with the recommendations provided by the city planner's office that you are, I believe, requesting our city clerk
Yes.
read into the record. I would make that motion to amend.
Thank you. So motion received by Alderman Nystrom. Can I have a second? Second by Alderwoman Sheila Hayes. Can you please read that on record? Thank you.
So it'd be page 8, section 2-2, definitions. Advanced manufacturing should be manufacturing, advanced, and moved to page 18. Page 33, section 3.2.g.2, PDD dimensional standards, table 10, remove the E to the right and above building height to 105 feet. Deep comments from Diane Ivkovic regarding section 3-4-B floodplain overlay, page 40, sections 3.4.B.3 definitions, add back in FEMA definition the basement which was inadvertently deleted. Any area of the building having its floor subgrade below ground level on all sides. Page 42, Section 3.4.B.3 definitions, change incorrect section from 3.4.B.8.II to Section 3.4.B.11. Page 44, Section 3.4.B.4, interpretation of floodplain and floodway boundaries. Add these required FEMA sentences at the beginning of the section as the first paragraph. All permit applications shall be reviewed to determine whether proposed building sites will be reasonably safe from flooding. The local floodplain administrator will obtain and maintain records of the lowest floor and flood-proofing evaluations for all new construction and substantial improvements. Page 47, Section .3.4.B.7, parentheses 6, special permit uses, change incorrect section from 6.14 to Section 3.4.B.10, and replace 5 parentheses small d with 5 parentheses to apply all criteria above, not just the quotation D.
Okay, thank you very much. So we had a motion, we have a second on this amendment.
Wait.
Any discussion?
Also, at the end, I think I have to put, and they want the, to add, whoever makes the motion for approval shall also include the following. In approving these amendments, the council has given due consideration to recommendations of the city's current plan of conservation and development, which recommendations are reflected in these amendments. These amendments will be effective on and choose a date and time to publish legal notice for decision.
So as your motion, Alderman Nystrom,
Agreed.
friendly amendment?
Absolutely.
Okay. And do we include the date?
Yes,
in it?
I've just conferred with Ms. Rhodes. She suggests that you make it effective February 15th, which will allow adequate time for publication. The effective date cannot be prior to the publication and filing with the city clerk. And for the record, I'm Mark Brantz, B-R-A-N-S-C. I'm a special counsel to the city on this particular project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So in your motion, Alderman Nystrom, February 15th is part of it. Thank you very much. And
Second. Yep.
by Alderwoman Sheila Hayes. Any other discussions on this at this time? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please. On the
So-
amendment?
Alderwoman Hayes,
Yes.
Alderman Kanabaya,
Yes.
Alderwoman Zucardi,
Yes.
Alderman Nystrom,
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia,
Yes?
Mayor Singh.
Yes. Motion passes 6-0. Now we will have, on the ordinance itself,
As amended.
as amended. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Alderwoman Sheila
you have-
Hayes. Can I
Don't you
have a
already have
second?
I'm sorry. We have a motion.
Be here.
Yeah.
Okay. So roll call, please. Thank you.
Alderwoman Hayes,
Yes.
Alderman Kanabaya,
Yes.
Alderwoman Zucardi,
Yes.
Alderman Nystrom,
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia,
Yes?
Mayor Singh.
Yes. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Number 2, an ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of Norwich accompanying the zoning ordinance of the city of Norwich by changing the zoning designation of tracts or parcels of land within the city of Norwich.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to bring this ordinance? to
So
the
moved.
floor? Moved by Alderman Nystrom. Can I have a second? Second by Alderwoman Sheila Hayes. Any discussions?
Believe we're going to get some advice.
Yes, for the record, again, Attorney Brantz, you should add to this motion as well that in making this decision, you have considered the recommendations of the Plan of Conservation and Development and effective date of February 15th.
Okay. So that will be the motion by,
So moved.
okay. And second, any discussions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Is there a date? Do we,
February 15th.
same date, I just
Same
wanted
date.
to make sure.
Yep. Thank you.
Alderwoman Hayes.
Yes.
Alderman Kanabaya.
Yes.
Alderwoman Zucardi.
Yes.
Alderman Nystrom.
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia.
Yes.
Mayor Singh.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
And then to pass?
And then the
To
motion
adopt?
to
the amend-
adopt.
With the amendment? Okay. Alderwoman Hayes.
Yes.
Alderman Kanabaya.
Yes.
Alderwoman Zucardi.
Yes.
Alderman Nystrom.
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia.
Yes.
Mayor Singh.
Yes, motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Just report.
Excuse me. This is the city manager's report for January 21st, 2026. Meetings and professional engagements. During the reporting period, I represented the city of Norwich at the following meetings and events: Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments, Norwich Waterfront Design Committee, City Coordination Meeting, Connecticut Department of Transportation, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities Legislative Committee and Board of Directors, and Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. Assessor's Office. The Assessor's Office will mail reminders on February 2nd to residents currently enrolled in the elderly slash total disabled homeowners program who are required to reapply this year. The application period runs from February 1st through May 15th. Public Works. Tuesday, January 20th, 2026, Norwich Public Works has responded to 5 winter weather events over the past 5 weeks. The season began with a long-duration snowstorm that started on December 13th and continued overnight into the following morning. The most recent storm began on Sunday morning, briefly subsided in the afternoon, then resumed overnight, ending Monday morning. The total cost associated with responding to these 5 storms is estimated to be about $150,000. While significant, these expenses are anticipated and accounted for within the winter operations budget. The primary cost driver continues to be the road treatment materials, particularly salt. To date, nearly 900 tons of salt have been used this winter, compared to an annual average of approximately 2,500 tons. Based on current usage, the department anticipates remaining within the budget, provided there is not an extraordinary number of additional storm events this coming winter. The overtime budget has experienced the greatest impact due to the timing of these storms, which have largely occurred during overnight hours, weekends, and holidays when staff coverage requires overtime. In addition to storm response, NPW has conducted snow removal operations in the downtown and Greenville areas as needed to improve safety for both motorists and pedestrians. These cleanup efforts were completed during regular working hours and did not result in additional overtime. Human Services and Senior Programming. Over the past 3 weeks, Adult and Family Services has issued more than $15,000 in relocation expenses. With assistance from the Finance Department, staff began billing landlords immediately upon receipt of the invoices, allowing the city to recover funds more promptly. Previously, landlords were notified of repayment amounts only at the time of property sale. The department is also partnering with Three Rivers Community College to host a Human Services student intern for a placement beginning January 21st. The intern will complete 120 hours and earn academic credit towards an associate degree in human services. The Senior Center's ARP-funded tax assistant program is currently full and no longer accepting phone calls or appointments. Approximately 300 appointments were filled this year. Due to a reduction in available volunteer taxpayers, capacity was limited to about half of prior year's participation. Youth, Family, and Recreation Department. The Youth, Family, and Recreation Department hosted a highly successful stress relief event for Norwich Free Academy students in preparation of midterm exams. Activities included crafts, yoga, and a therapy dog visit. The first session of winter programming began on January 12th with just over 200 participants registered. And that completes my report for this evening.
Very much. Any questions for city managers at this time?
On resolutions on agenda items only.
All right, so at this point, I declare citizen comments on agenda items only open. Anybody who would like to say anything in regards to, we have 2 business resolutions here. Feel free to come forward, state your name. You'll be given 3 minutes. Anybody who would like to come and speak on resolutions before us? Anyone who would like to come and speak on resolutions before us? Third and last, anybody who would like to come forward and speak on resolution before us? Hearing none, I declare citizen comment on agenda item closed. Thank you.
New business resolution number 1, relative to authorizing City Manager Solomon to sign an acceptance agreement for safety improvements on SR 642 at Sturtevant Street, located at 80 West Town Street.
Thank you. I would like to ask for the motion to bring this resolution to the floor. Moved by Alderman Nystrom, seconded by Alderwoman Sheila Hayes. Any discussions? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Kanambaya?
Yes.
Alderwoman Zucardi?
Yes.
Alderman Nystrom?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia? Mayor Singh?
Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Number 2, relative to the reappointment of a regular member to the Harbor Management Commission.
I ask for the motion to bring resolution number 2 on the floor. Motion by Alderman Nystrom, seconded by Alderwoman Sheila Hayes. Any discussions? Just for the knowledge of public, person being appointed as David Bishop. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Kanambaya?
Yes.
Alderwoman Zucardi?
Yes.
Alderman Nystrom?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Singh?
Motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much.
Citizen comment general, 30 minutes on non-agenda items only.
Right, so at this point, I declare citizen comment general open. Anybody who would like to say anything in regards to anything which is under the purview of city council, please come forward. You'll be given 3 minutes. Please state your name clearly. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is John Taylor. I dwell at 51 Henry Street. With all the lies and deceit and contradiction and hypocrisy apparent in government today, many people are waking up and taking notice. Like a snowball rolling down a large hill, it gains size and speed. This is the federal government realizing they are broke, bankrupt, and looking for more ways to steal our money. A few months ago, the International Court of Justice ruled that the United States of America, unincorporated, has sole legal and lawful standing as an organic American government. It has acquired all assets from the bankruptcy of the United States of America Incorporated, which is the Roman municipal government. The true American government of state nationals has assemblies in all 50 states of the Union. I provided each of you with a copy of a letter sent to the Connecticut, to the governor, the lieutenant governor, secretary of state, attorney general, and the adjutant general, as well as a proclamation of restoration by our head of state and fiduciary. Here are some of the things that will take place over the next few months. No more codes, statutes, and laws that are repugnant to the Constitution. Banking will change. District courts will be shut down, with common law courts restored. No political parties. The government structure will be established as it was intended by our founding fathers, with less on the federal level and more on the county level. You can't take a right, turn it into a privilege, and charge fees for it. Licenses and permits will be gone unless used for commerce. No more income or property taxes. This is just a start. There will be more. The government was usurped and stolen by our British territorial and Roman municipal subcontractors with help from the Scots after the Civil War without anyone noticing. They pretended to be the actual American government and got away with it. This created the incorporation of the United States of America. Every part of government, from the White House to your local town, are for-profit corporations listed on Dun and Bradstreet. Because corporations can't govern living men and women, the birth certificate scam was created. Parents were required to register their children's birth. Registration is giving up ownership interest in whatever is registered. When you're born on the land and soil of this country, you are an American state national. Once the birth is recorded, it makes you a U.S. British territorial citizen without any rights as a subject of the Crown. You are now in the jurisdiction of the sea. They create a trust in your birth weight in gold and your name in all capital letters, also known as your corporate fiction straw man. Your birth certificate becomes a financial bond traded on Wall Street. Your social security number is traded as well. This is all done without disclosure. There is a way to reclaim your birthright as an American state national with all inalienable rights granted by God and the Declaration of Independence. It requires publishing as little as 3 documents on the public record. If anyone's interested or has questions, I'll be here after the meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else who would like to come forward to the council?
Against my constitutional rights, of which this council still has contempt and disregard for. My name is Dave Addis, no certain address. I don't like surprises coming in my mailbox. When I see something like this from your pals at the DPU, there's a problem that you are all conveniently turning the usual blind eye to, and I intend to hold every single one of you accountable for this. When I see a bill like this that says $371, there's a problem. But you'll still turn a blind eye to it because I'm sure your pals at the DPU are giving you a nice little percentage, every single one of you. And your pals at the DPU still continue to steal money in the name of my dead mother, the late Blanca Rodriguez. Now, I want to know if you are going to put these dogs on a very short leash, what the hell you're going to do about this, because I work for very little money as it stands, and your town doesn't have jobs to offer anyway. So let's put that fantasy to bed. This is disgusting. I am absolutely pissed off, literally. 1 degree below boiling point. I think it's time for you to assume responsibility right now and do what the hell people like me and everybody else with common sense tell you to do. My first thing to tell you to do is to put these mutts on a leash, like right now. I don't want to see a near $400 utility bill in my mailbox again. I don't have my heat on except for overnight. I don't have it on during the day. So how the hell they came to this $371 nonsense is beyond me. And it's also time for regulation and restriction to stop your pals from the DPU collecting money in the names of dead family members.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anybody else who would like to come? Please come forward. You'll be given 3 minutes. State your name clearly. This is citizen comment on general.
Dan Addis, 1240 Walton Avenue, South Bronx, New York. Just recently, I received a farcical tax bill from that clown that's supposed to be a tax assessor charging me taxes for a vehicle that I sent to the, unfortunately, to the scrap pile a year ago. Now, someone on this council had better grow some balls and tell me what business do you have charging me for a vehicle that I no longer have.
We cannot engage in
That's what I
conversations.
thought. That's what I thought. But the question still stands, and I'm certain there's people who have sent who have unfortunately sent their cars to the scrapyard, and they too are getting raked over the coals for vehicles that they no longer have, which I think is straight up garbage. Once that vehicle is gone, that is that. That money should not have gone to this farce. That money should have gone into my pocket for unfortunately sending my Ford Ranger to the great beyond. And as I said, someone had better show what kind of guts they have, and they better give me a damn good reason as to why this is taking place. It's bad enough that the seniors are being raked by you, the DPU, and everybody alike who has their hands out for money that they did not earn to begin with. That clown didn't earn my money. If he wants to earn my money, he can get his ass over to my job and wash the dishes that pile up at my job on a daily basis. That's how he can earn my money. But if he didn't earn it, then he has no say when it comes to me. Nothing. That pie in the sky nonsense that you showed earlier is just that. You tried that with the transportation center and that failed. You tried that with that garage downtown and that failed. But it seems like nobody's interested in learning from their failures. Nobody. And you wonder why the hell U-Haul is raking up brisk business with people moving out of here. Instead of you trying useless pie-in-the-sky garbage, you need to figure out and show me how smart you are. Why are the seniors and why most people are leaving this dump? But you won't do that because that requires common sense thinking. And Norwich is not very well known for common sense. But as for that, no. Once a car is gone, that's it. It's over. Period.
Thank you very much. Anybody else who would like to come in front of council and make any comments? Anybody else who would like to come in front of council and speak on any topic? Third and last, anybody else who would like to come in front of council? If not, I declare the citizen comment closed. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Kadambaya?
Yes.
Alderwoman Zucardi?
Yes.
Alderman Nystrom?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Singh?
Yes. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much. Have a good night.